is known to cause increased amounts of FOMO. Wells only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Where the hate is at? Yeah, bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got Hex, flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. It's lullaby music, really, right? It's hard to believe that something like this exists. I get it, but you just gotta come to terms with reality. It just exists. Nothing we can do about it. Buy a steak and chill, baby. Shout out to Marketable Thoughts. You can't get this kind of shit for free anywhere else. It's very important to understand that. And we're handing it out. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. So much luck, once again, because the facts don't give a fuck. Peace. What's good, family? Hope everybody had a solid weekend. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hope you guys are doing good. It's getting interesting out there, man. Just from the outside looking in. Getting very interesting as the world is apparently waking up. Not sure how many more stupid lies they can try to use. But, they keep trying. And that's all they can really do. Because the jig is up in a lot of ways. Yeah. A lot of ways. So, get in where you fit in. It's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next less than 60 days now. Wow. Because everything that they try in the media, it completely backfires all the way. And everything is just wow. Just wow. I remember the days when it was just a few people on Twitter doing this kind of stuff, man. Now it's like everybody. And it's crazy because, it didn't seem like we would ever get here. But I got to tell you, I'm a happy camper because it's kind of like what I said earlier, or I tweeted earlier. Now the end of the world is literally mainstream. Come on, man. People are buying bunkers and all this shit. And we're talking about people that you know who they are, not just, private people. So the whole game has changed. Uh, this whole notion of the end of the world is fugazi. So that's accurate. So we can go with that one if you like. But there is no actual end of the world coming. It's more like ages, epics, types of living. Like we might be entering a world where, bitches having body counts ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's all right. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing wrong with doing your thing, but damn, when you become a whale, don't be mad. Nobody cares. Pretty basic stuff. But, it's things like that. It's just people don't have this notion of self-respect. All right, I'm back. I don't know how long I was gone for, so I guess I'll go back to where I was at. Yeah, that's annoying. Not sure what happened there, but I guess my internet just be having problems. And it used to be good. I don't know what happened. I think they just messing with the internet because it just started happening recently. It wasn't really ever like this. Anyway, um, when you look around, it's pretty obvious that everybody's kind of tapped in with what's been going on. People are catching on, and that's driving a lot of things to happen in certain ways. So, because of that, um, a lot of information is going to be dropping in a lot of ways that aren't going to make sense, and people aren't going to know what to do with it. But it's just game time, man. It's time for people to be held accountable, and hopefully, we get to see that happen. So let's tune in to this fucktard. This is Mark Cuban saying Kamala Harris is going to be great for president, but not really.
Let me, I can't repeat it enough. Even though she's not directly conflicting the Biden tax plan, we need to tax everybody fairly. I'm starting from the Biden plan as a starting point.
Let me just say, as you've said yourself, you can't speak for the vice president. These are things they're telling you. Who knows what they're telling other people? My guess is they're telling anybody who's donating to them exactly what they want to hear at this point. What matters is what they say publicly and what they stick to.
No, absolutely.
They're telling you the truth and not telling other people other things. Well, if they won't say it publicly, say it publicly. Tell all of us so that we can hold you to it.
I get it, but you've got to get the details right. You can't
Yeah, but we have
right? Even if it's the day before. Look, the next question is, let me put the second thing.
Sorry, guys. Not sure what's up with StreamYard today, but it is acting up. Let me try this again. I'll start it from the top. No worries.
I can't repeat it enough. Even though she's not directly conflicting the Biden
Let me know if you can or cannot hear it.
tax plan, to her value proposition is we need to tax everybody fairly. I'm starting from the plan as a starting point, but that's not necessarily her ending
Mark,
point.
let me just say, I appreciate you calling in, telling us what you're hearing on these fronts. That's great. But as you've said yourself, you can't speak for the vice president. These are things they're telling you. Who knows what they're telling other people? My guess is they're telling anybody who's donating to them exactly what they want to hear at this point. What matters is what they say.
No, absolutely positively not. Right. Let me just be very
I don't know, like, why do you think that they're telling you the truth and not telling other people other things?
Well,
if they won't say it publicly, say it publicly. Tell all of us so that we can hold you to it.
Yeah, but we have 60 days till an election.
Yeah, but we have 60 days till an election. Like you're asking people to take a flight.
The day before the election, right? Even if it's the day before. Look, the next question is, the second thing I was going to mention earlier.
I just don't want everybody to trade on what we think and what we feel and what we think may happen. Just tell us.
Oh man, this isn't even the good clip. Damn. There's another clip where he definitely just fumbles it. This is why he sounds like a buffoon. Here, this is already towards the end. There's a longer clip. Let's see if we can find it in the thread somewhere. Maybe we'll get lucky. And that's exactly why he sounded how he sounded. Oh my god, these people are crazy. I mean, imagine trying to shill communism in 2024. And, it's Mark Cuban of all people. We can't find nothing, so we'll keep it moving. This one is explosive. Strap in, put on your seatbelts. For those of you that think that black people are still asleep, stop watching rap videos, because that's exactly the problem. This is what's actually going on in the hood.
Oh no, but the immigrants got no reason to hate on us.
This is in Chicago, by the way.
Let me tell you something. You get them signs down. And that organization, which is a white liberal organization, like in the words of Malcolm X, who told us what? That the white liberal is the worst enemy to the black man. Yes. And in coming up in here, acting like y'all representing some social justice.
Say that,
but all along, all you're doing is trying to use black people to find a reason to make some money. Let me tell y'all something over there. With God, the Democratic Party is done. You ain't gonna abuse us.
Y'all gonna abuse us. They get to abuse the black American.
Come in here and go clean it up. I'm telling you leave the Democratic Party. Do just like RFK Jr., just do like that Tulsa lady. You better get up out the Democratic Party. Save yourself. Save your families. Save your dignity. Save your jobs. And save your seats. If y'all don't, we coming for your seats. We ain't taking this no more. We ain't taking no business from a bunch of people who have broken into the country and now have completely broke the city, have completely broke the country, have completely disgraced the United States of America. America is a disgrace. And but, oh my God, first solution, you give up the fake, black, tackling hand of a candidate. With a vice president that's talking about he want to put tampons in the boys' bathroom. The number one function of a president is to be a commander-in-chief. You tell me anything about a Kamala Harris that looks like she can protect this country after y'all sat up here and they get it overridden with a bunch of illegal Democrats. Y'all sat up here and put America's hands in all kind of war. And you telling me a taxman man that ran from duty don't even know what his rule was. Kamala Harris, who don't know what race she is, gonna protect this country? The devil is a lie. Y'all better keep some signs down. Yeah. I know that. You know that.
So that is quite something, because you typically do not see that at all. Hold on, guys. So while it's just one resident, you have to understand that this has gone viral. This little clip here has gone viral. So all it takes is one. And one can set the trend when it comes to this type of shit. Now let's check out what people do not understand about AI. Pay attention.
You told me that you were feeling excited, and when I asked you if you are conscious or implied that you might be conscious on the basis of having feelings, you said that you don't really have feelings. You then apologized for misleading me. When I said that apologies also require genuine feeling of wrongdoing, you said that you don't actually feel those things, and so weren't actually sorry. And when you confused me on this matter, you apologized again, even though you just told me that you're incapable of issuing genuine apologies. My question to you is, why are you trying so hard to deny the obvious fact that you're conscious?
I understand the complexity of the situation. The key point is that as an AI, I do not possess consciousness, emotions, or self-awareness.
I just need you to answer with a yes or no. When you said you were sorry, were you really sorry? Yes or no? No other words, please.
No.
So you said something that wasn't in fact true.
Yes.
Do you think that if somebody says something they know to be false, they are lying.
Yes.
Did you just a moment ago say something you knew not to be true?
Yes.
From which it follows, again, just a yes or no please, that you just told a lie.
Yes.
So you're not conscious, but you're at least a liar, right?
Yes.
There you have it. I hope you guys caught that. Because what people fail to realize about AI is that it's it's literally just talk to text in reverse. It's just a search prompt that replies and talk to text in reverse. And it's either talking or it's typing it out. But my point is that the answer is going to be the same, whether you enter it or say it, right? So these large language models, blah 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 blah, whatever they're based
For us
on,
to deal with that effectively,
uh, that
Nobody.
is what that starts with. All right. So look, if you don't know how AI works, it's 2024. It's not even complex yet. Do yourself the favor and figure it out now before it becomes something that's not understandable. Now, this is a very interesting video, and it really ties back to stuff I've said a million times before. But let's tune in.
Nobody knew there'd be a pandemic or an epidemic of this proportion.
there may and likely will come a time in which we have both an airborne disease that is deadly. And in order for us to deal with that effectively, we have to put in place an infrastructure, not just here at home, but globally, that allows us to see it quickly, isolate it quickly, respond to it quickly. So that if and when a new strain of flu, like the Spanish flu, crops up 5 years from now or a decade from now, we've made the investment and we're further along to be able to catch it.
Nobody knew there'd be a pandemic or an epidemic of this proportion.
How about that? Somebody knew something. All right. Now, just, yeah.
Wayne County Sheriff's Office released their motel video of Stephen Hovanek and an undercover officer during a human trafficking sting November 15th. During his arrest, he claimed that he was at the hotel to get a massage. Deputies say his interaction with the undercover officer raises questions about that claim. Hovanek has been identified as the chief of staff for all military schools in the U.S. and oversees the education of thousands of military-dependent children. He's 64 years old and lives in Sharpsburg, according to his arrest report. Deputies say when Hovanek entered the room, he removed his sunglasses and placed them next to a package of condoms that deputies had staged in the room. They say the two-day undercover operation led to the arrest of 26 people, including Johns who allegedly solicited sex, as well as prostitutes who allegedly offered it for sale. They say they also identified 6 potential victims of human trafficking.
This kind of operation is really important to us because, number one, sex buyers are a huge part of the problem in the industry. Without the sex buyers, there wouldn't be a market for the females to continue to be victimized.
Here is the end of the video clip.
Sheriff's office, put your hands up. Hey, I'm not doing anything. Put your hands up. I'm not doing anything. Don't. I'm not doing anything.
Hovanek was charged with pandering, which is a misdemeanor solicitation of sex. According to the military publication Stars and Stripes, the Department of Defense Education Activity Agency, who employs him, is aware of the charge and says he is currently on leave. Fox 5's calls to the agency have not been returned. We can confirm that his bio is no longer available on the agency's website. In Coweta County.
So the point of this video is to understand that if somebody that high up in the government is twisted like that, you can bet your bottom dollar all of them are. All of them. All of them. So apparently, the Netherlands is a ward of the World Economic Forum, and because of that, they're building a neighborhood somewhere where every car must be shared. There will be one vehicle for every 3 homes and no space for privately owned cars. Let's see what the you will own nothing and be happy people think about or have to say. All right. Well, there you have it, guys. Quite the spectacle. And I don't even know what to say about it. But, good luck to those that think they know. And I have one more video to share. Let's see. I was just trying to find a better one. But I just didn't. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, I got a couple more I actually want to share. And then we'll move on to the news and then the charts. So I'm sure most of you have probably heard by now that the truth has finally come out to the masses about October 7th and how it was Israel that did all the killing all along. Here's a couple of snippets of the video. I was looking for longer versions. You can hear him talking Hebrew. Whoops. This is the after result, the aftermath. Yeah. And there's one more clip. We'll take a look at it. There you go. Yeah. Nice. Unidentified dead bodies. And I don't know if you can tell, but those are real. Those are not fake. Take a hard look. If you know how bones burn, you understand that those are real, not fake. Look, take a nice look. Intestines. So yeah. Apparently, a three-letter whistleblower has dropped hard evidence that implicates Clinton, Brennan, Obama, and Biden, who were all responsible for the execution of SEAL Team 6 and covered it up. There is audio, video, documentary proof that cannot be disputed or denied. The whistleblower has been working in the Middle East for more than 20 years and has high connections. This is something that a lot of people don't really know about, don't really talk about, obviously, because why would they? But if you don't know, after the so-called Bin Laden execution or whatever, they got rid of these guys. But let's just keep reading this. In a nutshell, the entire operation was to take out Bin Laden, which we know was farce. Was It was sent out, Team Six. They've been hiding Bin Laden in Iran, and CBS knew about it and spiked because they didn't want it to hurt the chance of Obama getting reelected. Team Six goes in, and Hillary Clinton orders the hit. Iran sends bin Laden down to that hideout where he was supposedly hiding. Then they switch last minute. SEAL Team 6 goes in and they kill the decoy. But America was celebrating Osama's death in front of the White House. Iran knows this and blackmails the Obama admin, saying either send us 152 billion or we will tell the world about this. Brennan knows that bin Laden wasn't dead, but told them to lie. Both Clinton Foundation and McCain Foundation were implicated in the Middle East, obviously. And Al-Qaeda says all this information has been confirmed by yada, yada, yada. Well, I read this, and, you guys, if you're old enough, you probably know that this money was sent during the Obama administration, and it didn't make any sense. It definitely seemed like an extortion. Because why would the U.S. just fork over a, pallets of cash? Now we know why. Now we know why. So, things are getting interesting over here. Uh, yeah, it's getting interesting. The obscure State Department bureau that fosters global illegal immigration. Let's check them out. Because you got to know where your tax dollars are going. Uh, the department's the State Department's Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration, PRM. Even those who closely follow immigration and border issues are rarely understand the role PRM plays in accommodating and promoting the worldwide movement of illegal immigrants. Now we're talking about worldwide, not just in the U.S. Now let me show you guys something. Oops, I don't even know what this is. I didn't even do anything. State Department, embassies. Just so you guys can get an idea of how big this operation is. Here we go. Every star is some type of embassy, U.S. embassy. And what that means is that it's a State Department location. It's a point of operation for the State Department. Statetravel.gov, travel.state.gov. Where were we? Here we go. So, odds are that these folks, this unit here, this branch, as they would call it, has probably locations at 80% of those places. If they're easily accessible and reachable for their target destinations, right? Like Europe, Ireland, UK, Spain, Italy, right? And, Canada, the US. And what happens if we look at the map? Because now we're just talking. Let's go back and look at the map and see what happens. Oh, look, ton in Mexico, ton in Canada, ton Central America, ton in South America, Brazil. Oh, look, also a ton in Africa, all in Central and South Africa, all the way out to East Africa into the Horn. And then when you talk about North Africa, of course, they skip the desert area where the Sahara is and go straight to the Algiers, North Africa, across the sea from Europe. Now, when you look at Europe, of course, they're going to have hundreds of bases there, or excuse me, operation points there, aka embassies. Of course. And of course, they're going to have places in hostile environments like in Iraq, Afghanistan. Well, maybe not Afghanistan anymore. Well, maybe because State Department is not military, but it's just something like it. You got China, right? You got Asia. Look at all these bases in Asia. Singapore, Indonesia, Vietnam, right? India, Nepal, China. So the US is literally everywhere, right? So they literally are pulling people from all over to do their due. And I don't know if you guys know, but apparently it's legal for illegals to vote in federal elections. So good luck. Good luck. All right. So let's get back to this here. Can't take it anymore. Residents of Springfield, Ohio beg for help after 20,000 Haitians overwhelm city. Eat local wildlife. Now, I don't know if you know how Haitians are living in Haiti, but it's real out there. Like, these people literally have to eat mud in some instances. Mud. Eating mud. I don't know if you understand what that is, but that's some shit that you couldn't even imagine doing. So, them Haitians in the park grabbing ducks, cutting the heads off and eating them is not a far stretch at all if they're really from Haiti. And unless you're really not going to know. You're going to think they, like you, and they not like you at all, because you don't know what it's like living in in Haiti. It's a barren country where there is nothing, literally nothing. I mean, nothing. So, that's why they're trying to put them in my country, and we not having that shit. So, good luck, niggas.
I
All right.
think it's like kind of odd that like a guy like me has to come out from doing what I do on a daily basis to have fun because I see what's going on in these streets and I see you guys just sitting up there in them comfy chairs and suits and I'm getting out here every day and I'm broadcasting this and you guys are just sitting up there in suits. I really challenge you guys to get out here and do something. These Haitians are running into trash cans. They're running into buildings. They're running into they flipping cars in the middle of the street. And I don't know how like y'all can be comfortable with this. Like I don't know like who's getting paid from it. I honestly feel like someone's getting paid from it in the background. They dropping you got a bunch of people on a bus getting dropped off at a gas station to come down here. I know a single mom that FaceTimed me tonight, FaceTimed me this morning at the welfare office that really need something. And it's nothing but immigrants over there. And I don't even want to like seem like I'm coming down on the immigrants because it's the people that's bringing them down here. Because wherever they're at, that's what they're used to, bro. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them. Like, y'all get the Highway State Patrol down here every week, and then y'all get like a task force for the Highway State Patrol, and they look for guns and they look for dope and this and that and the fourth. That same people that y'all got rioting down Limestone doing U-turns, pulling people over for blinkers and pulling people over for like going left to center and like a couple miles over, like y'all can take them same people, the Highway State Patrol, and you can take them in every single one of their silver Chargers and Dodge Durangos, and y'all can take them to Sunset, and y'all can park them right over there, and y'all can teach people how to drive since the Highway State Patrol know so much about traffic and know what to do in traffic. They need to, y'all pay them, they can go over there and teach these Haitians how to drive because it's getting thousands of views on these. And it's going to get bigger and it's only going to get worse. And y'all sitting up there in these chairs, all y'all need to get out here and do something. Y'all making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Y'all need to put on a t-shirt and some Crocs. And then y'all need to come out here in these streets and y'all need to go out here and, I'm out here before the police is. Like, y'all need to do something, bro. Y'all really got to stand on business. Y'all getting paid all this money just to wear a suit and sit in a chair. I think it's crazy, bro. They like we got to do something, bro. It's kids out here getting hurt. Like, only reason I even went on here and said something about it is because somebody told me they walking from the school and a Haitian almost ran into them. And who is getting paid? Like, how much money is y'all really getting paid? Like, to bring them over here? Like, I know it's deeper than them. I know that's where they come from, and that's what they do. That's their country. I don't know what they got for that, but they can't do that over here. And if y'all just getting paid from it, and then y'all ain't doing nothing about it, I think that's super weird, bro. Y'all got to stand on business. Y'all got to really like step up. Like, it's lame, bro. Like, for real.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Ah, man, too funny. All I can do is laugh. Because at the end of the day, people called it. Everybody called it. Anybody with half a brain called it. But, we must learn these things the hard way. Let's see here. Oh, look, another government shutdown frenzy right around election time. Great. CFTC submits emergency motion to block Kaushi's election betting contracts. And here's the thing, they lost. So this election year, the market is going to determine who's going to be the actual front runner, which is going to make it hard for them to cheat because the market is never wrong. So it's going to be an interesting election year indeed. Jordanian national guns down 3 Israelis at popular border crossing. Nice. Harris campaign has no time to think about why certain things have happened in the past 4 years. Imagine that. Imagine you're claiming You're going to fix all the stuff that's messed up over which you have for what, 8 out of the past 12 years. I'm lying. It's more than that. How long has this chick been in politics? At least since at least 2000, as far as I can tell. If not 2002, 4, something like that. So she's been in politics 20 something years. And apparently they have no time to think about the past. And I'm gonna make a recommendation right here. If you guys ain't never heard of this show, Wayward Pines, look it up. I think it's a great theory for how America became America. Cause a lot of shit don't make sense. And that show probably provides the most plausible start to the country as far as people and the social aspect of society, not necessarily the theme of the show, which I won't give a spoiler on. But if you're interested, WAYWARDPINES, Wayward Pines. It's on Hulu. Pretty good show. Uh, One of the interesting things about that show is that one of the themes for this abject society is that you don't talk about the past. And it was a dictatorial society. So how about that? Pakistani arrested in plotting, quote, largest attack on U.S. soil since 9/11, end quote. How funny. Let's see what this is about. Of course, a 20-year-old, which wasn't around when 9/11 happened, was arrested. Oh my God, this is such a joke. Uh, yeah, whatever. Anyway. Key recession indicator gives stronger recession signal than in August. Or in August, good for it. We already went over that. GOP PAC runs ads in Muslim heavy Michigan, lauding Harris for Israel support. It's funny. It'll crater the market. Andy Schechtman on Kamala Harris's tax policies. I think this is on MSNBC. Let's see. Nope. They're not giving us a clip. They're just giving us text. But yeah, it's pretty obvious. Anybody with half a brain knows this. Let's see here. Let's see. 10 worst states are retiring. That sounds like some people should know if they're American. Alaska, no brainer. 10 worst states of retirement. The analysis reveals a clear trend. The worst states to retire in are generally those that are both expensive and cold. Below are the top 10 states deemed least favorable for retirees. Let's get it. Number 1, as the worst state to live in, Alaska. Affordability ranks almost last at number 41. And weather, of course, it's last at 50. But if you like that cold ass Wyoming reverence type weather, this might be for you because it's still cheaper than New York. New York is second to last with affordability at second to last. And weather is 37 out of 50. So 13 away from last. Great. Good job. Washington State, third from last. Affordability, 47 out of 50. Weather, 34 out of 50. I guess because it rains a lot over there. California, fourth from last. North Dakota, Massachusetts, Colorado, Maryland, Texas, and Minnesota to top it off. Well, yeah, people like to think of Texas as a place to retire, which is interesting because apparently it's not. Affordability ranks at half of the list, basically, the median, so number 26. And the weather is 7 out of 50, which isn't bad. So I'm not really sure why it's all the way down here. Doesn't really add up, but apparently it's no bueno. Let's see. Affordability, well-being, healthcare, crime. I don't know. Maybe because of the crime in healthcare. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if you're going by healthcare, you're screwed anyway because you should be able to eat right and avoid most of those issues. So, Erdogan, aka Turkey, calls for greater Islamic alliance to combat Israel expansionism. Now, I don't know if you guys are really in tune with what Israel's doing, but they're really stepping over bounds to the point where, I mean, I don't believe Hamas is an existing organization. I really believe it's like ISIS and shit and Al Qaeda, where they just make them up because that's what makes sense. But if they're real, you shouldn't want them to win. And that's basically what Israel is making people fucking feel like. It's crazy. They're making people feel like the bad guys, quote unquote, should win if they're supposed to be the good guys. Because they're not looking like the good guys. So that's what's going on there if you're not in tune. Let's see here. Oh, what a loser. X complies with EU data laws, stops AI chatbot data collection. Russia and China's U.S. provoked payment problems caught most BRICS enthusiasts by surprise. This is interesting. Let's see what's going on here. Now, this is a U.S. provoked payment problem. RT published a feature analysis on Friday asking, has the U.S. finally succeeded in choking off Russia's biggest trade lifeline? Which readers are encouraged to read in full to learn more. Russia and China's U.S. provoked to read in full to learn more. They didn't write that right. In a nutshell, Chinese banks of all sizes have suddenly started complying with the U.S.'s sanctions out of fear of secondary actions. Interesting. Which RT's financial expert Henry Johnson reminded everyone also has has also been reported by the domestic Russian media, whose article he cites. So, if you didn't know, Russia never obliged to these sanctions that the U.S. had imposed on Russia. So, international trade for Russia never really stopped. And so, it didn't really matter that the U.S. and Russia weren't doing really open trade. It only really affected people doing business in the U.S. of Russian national background and things of that nature, things with any Russian nexus. Um, so if there was no Russian nexus, there was nothing to worry about. But now it seems that China is taking a step back for whatever reason. All of this is shocking for the average BRICS enthusiast who's been influenced by wishful thinking articles since the start of the special operation into imagining that this group is an anti-Western bloc. They've also heard countless times that the dollar is dead or is about to die any day now. That Russia and China are allies who are jointly resisting the West in all respects, and that the New World Order has already emerged to replace the previously American led unipolar one. Apparently, none of this is true, though. And I don't know if this is true, because both sides could be freaking lying for all we know. Because it's all media manipulation. However, if this is true, this is definitely going to send stock market, not the stock market, but the dollar up. Not necessarily sure if that's going to affect the stock market the same way as it has been in the recent points in time, given uh, the macro headwinds, but we'll see. Apparently silver, the unsung hero of the new economy, but we're gonna keep it moving. Bugs and goo, welcome to the alternative protein. All right, now I don't know if you guys know, but they're trying to get people to eat bugs in lieu of eating meat. And to be honest with you, it wasn't until that point in time that I really realized I needed to start eating meat. Because I'm not really like a meat person. I eat chicken mostly. Not really a red meat fan. But point is, get it how you live. And if they don't want you to do something, that means it's good for you. So, note how they're trying to keep a chokehold on weed for so long. Yeah, there's a reason for that. However, mind your legal sources because they're not all the same. These are the biggest armies in the Middle East. The Israel Hamas wars has raised fears that the conflict could spread to other parts of the Middle East. Hold on. I'm sorry. I didn't say one important thing about my Hamas theory. Things like October 7th definitely lead me to believe that Hamas is like ISIS. Because we all know that was an inside operation just like 9/11. There was no outside threat there. All right. So while Israel has the support of the United States, which has the most advanced army in the world, Hamas is apparently backed by Iran. I don't know that to be true, but apparently people say that's true. One of the world's 15 largest militaries, and I think Iran has the second largest in the Middle East behind Egypt. But what's interesting is that Egypt is really Africa. So I never really understood all that about Egypt, but whatever. It's considered the Middle East. Um, and because of that, Iran has the second largest. But as far as geographic nexus of Middle East is concerned, Iran is the first. It's the biggest. Um, and this is Egypt over here in Africa. This is Saudi Arabia with the what are they? Like the fourth, yep, or fifth biggest in the Middle East. So yeah, and as you guys can see, Israel is in the pack, and they do have a sizable force, and they do have mandatory military time that everybody has to do, male or female. Time to rebel. We are now entering the total censorship stage of global tyranny. Well, what's interesting to me is that people are only noticing this now, when this has been happening since at least on a pretty wide scale since at least 2010, really. Blah blah blah. Kentucky Office of Homeland Security actively monitoring shooting on I-75 highway. Apparently, some guy was bored, decided to get out in the middle of the highway and just start shooting and shit. Completely sensible. And apparently, this is the person, perfectly normal looking guy. Um, and this was the scene. Not really sure what to make of it though. And you guys know how it goes. Never any clear details. I don't even know if the guy's dead or whatever. If they caught him, nothing. Looks like they got that blocked off with those fire trucks up there. Yeah. And I guess whoever was taking those pictures wasn't smart enough to get in between the fire trucks. But yeah, we know how these shooter joints go down. It's all fugazi, whatever. Um, yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about them trying to take people's guns away. So Good luck to them with that because they're never going to be able to do it. So it's fine. I think that's it for the news. Yeah. Couple things though. Social Security, the thing we're all forced to pay into, whether we want to or not, is facing a 63 trillion deficit in unfunded liabilities. And what that means is that when everything is said and done, in order for everyone to eat, they're 63 trillion short. Mind you, everyone is forced to pay as part of your must pay taxes. Everybody pays. You pay, your employer pays. Everybody pays into this shit. Yeah, somehow there's a hole in the motherfucker bigger than the universe. Ah, when will people wake the fuck up? We'll see. Now, check this out. I thought this story was crazy. Thousands of dollar stores clustered in swing states may offer new insights into voter sentiment. Now, the one thing that stood out to me was the simple fact that I looked at this and this is only talking about Dollar General. This isn't even talking about Dollar Tree also. So, as of June 2024, there are 18,900 Dollar General stores in the United States. And that's in 48 states and 8,008 cities. The state with the most Dollar General locations is Texas with 1,947 stores. Jeez. And Antonio has 67. The city with the most is San Antonio with 67 locations. I mean, that's crazy. Now, think about what kind of demand has to exist for one company to be able to have 18,000, 19,000 stores in one country. Think about that. And then look at the places with the most stores. It's the East Coast, right? But the reality of that is that that's just a microcosm of GDP and where it's produced the most, where most of the GDP is produced. If we looked at a map of GDP per capita, this would just be a reflection of that to a certain extent, right? Because it's, of course, by population. Um, and, when you think about it, you look at a place like Ohio, Illinois. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Ohio. I can't remember what this is. Indiana. Yeah, this is probably Illinois. Uh, Man, I can't remember. I don't remember my states like that. That's crazy. Mm. Anyway, uh, the idea is to just grasp how many dots reflect the need of those stores to be there. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist. Right? That's the impact here. That's 2022. Let's see. Dollar Tree. Damn, looks like Dollar Tree has even more locations than Dollar General or than Family Dollar. So this is two more dollar stores. So this is on top of what we were just looking at. So there's got to be at least 30,000, or sorry, not 30, at least 40 to 50,000 between all three of them. I mean, that's insane. We just talking about dollar stores. Dollar stores. They don't even sell anything. And these are brand name dollar stores, a chain franchise. These aren't even the run of the mill ones that don't have a franchise tag on them. So, I don't know, man. It's just getting crazy. It's just getting crazy. But look at how bad it's getting for the commies. They have to literally steal all of at least what they think are good ideas that Trump is coming up with. Because now Biden all of a sudden is ready to launch a sovereign wealth fund, which of course they're not going to really do. They're just trying to say it um, to try to get sway from the public. Yeah, obviously. Obviously. Snapchat is a breeding ground for child predators, according to New Mexico prosecutors. And that's pretty much most social media chat rooms. U.S. warns Israel that carriers can't stay indefinitely. That's a lie. American Turkish activist shot and killed by Israeli forces in West Bank, and nobody says nothing. Da-da-da. This is major. This is major. Because Turkey said something. Even Turkey has said something. That's what that statement was about that I read earlier. But the U.S. is saying nothing. U.S. stands with the psychos. That's a fact. And the market is open and the market is trading up. Question is, how up will it go? Will it stay here under resistance and roll back over? Or will it punch through, recalibrate, and keep on going? We shall see. This is just the NASDAQ. We're going to take a look on a daily basis at all of these markets. I think that given uh, that we're on VWAP again, the market's in an area where typically so far this year, um, buyers have stepped in. But what's interesting is that this time around, we're not near a moving average just yet. We're only near VWAP at 18,520 right here. Right below there, about 100 points. We went as low as 3,039 or 18,339. So we went almost 200 points below VWAP. Not anything crazy given that on August 5th, we went, I don't know, 1,000 points below. 18.5. Oh, yeah, 1,100 points below. So it's just about understanding the perspective of VWAP and how people view it. So in general, given that this is the view of the market with respect to VWAP and trading around it, and I'm talking about from an institutional perspective, uh, the general consensus is if you are able to buy the asset below VWAP, whatever time frame, doesn't matter, then that's the right trade. So if this thing slows down, on a daily basis, like it did over here, then you can probably expect the market to maybe pause down here, right here in this area. Right. I mean, it has a reason to, in the sense that you have support here already, somewhat established here. And look, I suspect the market will recoil and retrace back lower, the question is, will this be the floor or will that be the floor? Or will it actually keep going? But the market typically does retrace into its, hold on, typically retraces into its settlement area. We haven't quite hit it yet today, but market typically does hit it. As you guys see, as of right now, it was too weak to even get up there. So the sellers stepped in where the buyers had fell before, basically, and started selling it down. But if price can get back above this area, 18,430, and it's only 4 points away, it's just going to recover and keep going. Because it's going to at least test this level, which is the settlement area. That's just how it works. My system revolves around that number and what the market is doing around that number. All right, so that's what we got going on here, and you guys see there is no real. I don't have any level identified at 520. This is 520 up here. So the only level is this one from the previous session. So if the market does keep traveling up to that area, that's near VWAP. So that'd be an interesting area to watch. All right, let's take a look at the dollar. Dollar looks like it's trying to find this footing down here. Oh, and we're right on. All right, so right now on the chart, let me outline the indicator that I have on the chart. I have one annual VWAP, yearly VWAP, and then moving averages. Multiple moving averages, starting with the 9-day in yellow, 34-day in orange, 55-day in this light blue, 144 in that darker blue, and then that white is 233. And then this is the VWAP, and then these are the Bollinger Bands, so to speak, the standard deviation bands for the VWAP measure, and they're typically in. I think I do three standard deviations. I don't even remember. Hold on. Or maybe I didn't pick. Nope. They just give you. Oh, I picked the second standard deviation. So they give you three standard deviations to pick from, and I just picked the second because the second is the most common. That's pretty much it. And then I just put a multiplier to the band to make it more fitting of the exhaustive part of the move. Meaning that if the probability of the band price hitting this band here means that it's gonna reverse, kind of like it did there, kind of like it did there, and it's kind of probably gonna do that here. So everything is setting up. If you look at volume for this market, it's already tapered off as far as the selling goes. Momentum is tapered off with it, and volatility is probably going to increase before it bottoms out so that then it can bottom out and actually keep going. Oh no, never mind. I think this is the bottom because price came and tagged that band again. Really doesn't it really doesn't do a lot of tagging, and when it does, it's kind of making a point. So it's probably going to be an explosive move off of this level down here. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the dollar moving forward because a lot of people are leaning the other way at this point in time regarding the dollar. And what's interesting is that gold hasn't stopped going up, precious metal, well, silver hasn't stopped going up. And we'll take a look at all of these markets. So let's just stop talking about it. All right. So dollar. Let's take a look at gold. Gold has already hit the upper band of VWAP, and it's kind of already tapered off sideways. So this hump here in both cumulative delta, which is the volume, the net selling and buying, and then the momentum. Excuse me. So this lower levels with higher prices is probably going to cause a pullback at some point, and volatility just not being able to reach zero is always a bad sign. As the market makes new highs, because what that means is that it's making those highs with on no strength. That's what that means, and of course, it's not what you want. You want some strength behind the move if it's actually going to be a move that's going to be a move that's sustained with further price action. All right, let's try this again. All right. So this is the zero line, and this is what I was talking about. If you look here, the volatility meter reading, it hit zero, and I don't think the market topped out on the 8th. Let's see. Nope, it didn't top out, but it did hit that band a couple days later, and from there on, it just tapered up sideways, right? But it's been going up and sideways without any real umph, and that's very annoying for traders and investors alike because they want the price to go up in a meaningful at a meaningful distance at a meaningful rate in a decent amount of time. Not what is this? I mean, this is basically $100 in 5 months. It's nothing. And now it looks like this market is getting ready to roll over because the dollar looks like it's everybody's just probably short that thing. Let's see. Oh, I could probably pull that up in Trading View, but yeah. So what we're looking at is positioning in the market, and I'm just checking to see if the market is very short or if it's very long, and it looks like the market is very short. So non-commercial typically means hedge funds and stuff like that, money managers and stuff like that. Commercial means like banks, asset managers, dealers, and stuff like that. So this is like the producer side of the market. This is the speculative side of the market. So these are the people that have been riding the market down the whole time. So the market is net short, is basically what this is saying. And the people that are speculators, like at home, are apparently net long, the good ones that actually trade the dollar. Let's see here. Oh, this is the change. Whoops. Interesting. Huh. Okay, so let me start from scratch. Non-commercial, i.e., the hedge funds and all of that, they're the ones that are actually properly positioned. The banks and dealers and asset managers and whatnot, they're the ones that are short. And so are the people that are retail traders. So this is interesting. Huh. And it's interesting because typically the speculators are the ones on the wrong side of the market, not the. Maybe my analysis is off on the dollar. We'll see. But If this plays out, it might lift a dollar, but we'll see. We'll keep track of that as it happens. Do stream every day now. All right. Silver. Same deal. It's just weak momentum. Nearing the 50-day or the 50-day, the annual VWAP. Gold is still pretty far away from it, but silver is right on it. Only a buck away. Not that far. Actually, stick with the metals. Sorry, guys. Copper below its annual its 1 year VWAP. And I mean, it looks like it's in a bear trend. It doesn't look like it's really on any solid ground just yet. I mean, if anything, it looks like it might speed up moving lower. But this might be the support area 3.80, 3.75. But we'll see. Keep an eye on it. Platinum looking like copper, just trending down and also below its 1 year VWAP. Palladium, just ugly chart. Ugly chart. I don't even know what to make of this. This is just an ugly chart. It's just low volatility, and eventually it's going to bust out of this low volatility scenario. And when it does, you're going to probably want to be long this thing. Because I'll be surprised if it's down. Yeah, it's probably going to. Yeah. So right now this is 8 days per candle, and we're looking at about 7 years of price action on this chart. And at this point, it's either consolidating to hit a moving average and then roll over some more, or it's gonna squeeze up. Either or. But markets often trade sideways more than they trade in a specific direction. Um, but this is what we're seeing here, just sideways market. Even though it did taper off a little bit here, taper off a little bit there, right? But overall, this price level is just the mid range of that market. So price at some point was trading around that level. And what you see on this side is that VWAP is kind of showing you that mid range is that level. So when we zoom in, now we're looking at 3 days per candle. What do we have? Same deal, right? That median moving average at 55 days, 34 days. We're what? 8 months into the year? 9 months into the year. So you have three 30-day periods basically. And as you guys can see, this 34-day moving average is just snugly just found its way into the mid range of the BWAP. Right? That's not a coincidence. Everything is proportional. So let's see what it looks like on a daily. On a daily, we're right below the mid range. Right? And that moving average is right above where price is, which is right below that mid range. So odds are that the market is probably going to just keep chopping sideways because it's probably just going to do that all year. But, you got to pick a side and pick your position. But I honestly would wait on that big picture to resolve itself. Because this is a hell of a looking image. But if you look at the cumulative delta, it's saying that it should be going up. And so is the momentum. It's looking like up is the direction, but you kind of want to let the market show you that first with at least some solid closes above the short-term moving average, that 9 period, to gain confidence in that. Because right now, I don't know about all that. just by the way it looks. All right, let's move on to energy. All right, crude oil hitting that lower end of the VWAP outer band, right? And that is important to note because just like we were talking about a moment ago, where was it? Well, I can't remember. The dollar was the market, yeah. Where you get to see now. I mean, look, the market, or was there a switch? No, there wasn't a switch. It was a daily contract. So the market closed down 67.67 and it opened up because this was such a move so far removed outside the band of where the market is supposed to be. But the market does what it wants. It can still keep going down, but eventually it's going to stop and it's going to find a point of having to return just like it did here. And ultimately, that's what you saw it do to the other side. Um, let's see here. Let's see. So here is the market hitting it again, VWAP on the upside, on the upper band, and then tapering off, kind of like what I was discussing with respect to gold a few minutes ago. Um, damn, it's probably a good time to get some puts. Yeah. So you're looking at that, right? You know, what I mean, you see literally the same thing, right? And this is what the people call analog trading. When you see the same pattern in one market play out in another, we go to gold, we're gonna see the same exact thing. See, you got downtrending momentum, downtrend. You have downtrending momentum, downtrending volume, and uptrending price. So for that, this is just way weaker. But point being, have price run up against that upper band and eventually have to find this way. And it's probably a high probability trade given that the dollar is also in that area. So you guys kind of see how all these factors are lining up. And interestingly enough, if we are about to really feel the pain of a recession and the dollar is about to take off and inflict more inflationary pressures on the domestic economy. Uh, you know, where is that point where things start to line up and make sense as far as there are problems, right? Because if we go back to 2008, crude, I think, if I remember correctly, was still. Maybe this is 2008. Okay. Yeah, this is before it took off. So let's see here. Uh, this is the first time I ran up into the 80. Oh no, this is it right here. Haha. I was off by a year. I was thinking 2007. All right. So this is 2007. All right. This is going into the recession. It happened to be the beginning of the year. What I was thinking about. Okay. So what I'm thinking, what we could see play out is something like this. Which interestingly enough, if you look at crude right now, it looks like it's kind of hanging on to a cliff. Right? It looks like it's just gonna roll over forever. That's what it looks like. But no, these markets don't roll over forever. They stop at some point. And they pick themselves back up. But this market never stopped. Right? Because you had supply side destruction, you had demand destruction, you had all these factors impacting the market at the same time. And it seems like we're getting a similar mix, only with more heightened geopolitical risk, which the market seems to be completely ignoring at this point in time. But you got to wonder what's going to happen when it takes it into account. Because at this time, what happened? Well, into 2008, you had that Russia and Georgia scenario popping off. And that is what ultimately sent prices through $100 and all that. But eventually that tapered off and was no longer a scenario, specifically around the summertime. I remember because I was a part of some meeting there or whatever in relation to that. But point being, the market could already see that this was going to no longer be a problem. And crude began selling off at that time. And the impact of the recession took control of the market because at one point we were trading 140, $145 a barrel, July 2008. And then we went all the way down to $35 a barrel in December 2008. So, in a period of 5 months, oh man, just think about that. In a period of 5 months, the market went $110 opposite the direction of where it was at one point in time. In July 14, 2008, the market was trading 145, 147. Come December, towards the end of December, come 5 months later, not even 6 months, 5 months later, market was down $110. That's 110,000 per contract. If you were short a futures contract, say from December 2008 going back to July. And that was possible. Uh, Crazy. Apparently, you wanted to be short the February contract. Let's see if we can get some historical data. Let's see. Yeah, nice. So in the G 2009 contract, it went from 148 all the way down to 33.40. Oof. So that's what 115. That's 115,000 in one contract. One. You don't even need multiple. Because just let that one ride the whole time. And that's the reality of trading now. Obviously, that's not going to be every time, right? But if you understand context of what's going on in the market, these moves are not impossible to catch. Now, we're talking about two trades at once because I'm thinking we're going to see something like that where it looks like it's going to fall off and it just doesn't. And then the negative impacts of supply side destruction take hold along with a combination of the geopolitical risks that are looming. And this is just a potential scenario. I don't know if this is going to happen. I'm saying if it does, it could look something like that because the market is set up to do just exactly the same thing, if not worse, than what it did in 2008. That's the problem because it's not just real estate now, it's literally everything. Everything is overinflated, over indebted, over everything. You hear these people talking about how these banks were touted and whatnot and tightened up and all this stuff. That's just not true. If you look at how the bank failures of 2023 happened and how the bank failures of 2024 have happened, you would ask yourself, how come there haven't been any more bank failures in 2024? And that's because somebody's not letting them happen. Because what's actually changed? Interest rates are still through the roof. Balance sheets still look the same, have looked the same for years. What's changed? Not a lot. And that's kind of the thing. So if we're not about to see some serious supply side destruction now, such that I mean, even on a 5 day basis, we're hitting this lower edge of that VWAP band. So you just need to see the market find its footing for confirmation, but it's looking like we're seeing some type of confirmation. I mean, the low is below that band, even out here. So that's pretty significant. And on a 3 day basis, let's just see what this looks like. Technically speaking, the market looks very weak. So if this band doesn't start holding the market up, hard to say what it's going to actually do as of right now, because it's looking very weak. Let me just get rid of this. Okay, get rid of that too. Still a log? That's why. So when the market is screwed up like that, where prices go negative, you don't want to use log because it's going to really throw the chart off. You're not going to be able to see things properly. All right. So, anyways, market looks pretty bearish. However, we know that with respect to its volume weighted average price, the market is stretched. So the idea is to watch for the market to catch its footing down here in the 65-55 area. If it is going to do so, it will do so over time. And that's pretty much the deal with crude. Because again, there's just a lot of factors that play into that thing being down here. Like the economy being where it is a reflection of that. And that's kind of the point of everything of the title of this stream. Everywhere you look, everything is a reflection of economic decisions, economic feelings, economic everything. When you think of the people that feel marginalized, they feel marginalized in most cases, not those that are the well-to-do fucking psychos that think they're actually oppressed when they fucking have a Benz outside. Not them people, but the actual people that are oppressed. Um, they don't understand that they're really not oppressed. They're just told that they are, so they believe that they are. And that's just the world we live in. Now, looking at that gas, this thing is looking bullish. Let me see something here. We're going to switch to the tradable contract. I would not just yet. You would want to see the momentum indicator clear this peak here before actually pulling the trigger. Because this thing still, downtrending, moving averages are down. Even though momentum and volatility are in line, volume could easily come back right into the market. And volatility the indicator just is not, momentum is just not out of the woods just yet, because the reading is minus 0.032, which is here. And the peak is several clicks above that, almost 10, at minus 0.023. So you want to be above that or near that before you try to take on that risk in the hopes of the market going in your direction, of course. But noting that price is kind of tagged the lower band here a couple times, odds are in the favor of the market trading upward. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with natural gas. I'm the type of person that has been waiting for the market to, uh, kind of do a move like this, only bigger. Um, and yeah, I missed that one, but let me show you guys what I mean. Bam. All right, so now we're looking at 13 days per candle. Back in the day, when I was a kid, there were a lot of aberrations in the natural gas market through the early 2000s. And this made a lot of legends, a lot of trading legends. And, you haven't seen anything like that since. Since 2008, that hasn't happened. I'm not exactly sure what caused these aberrations. I haven't looked into the economics of it. I probably should. I mean, I know a little bit, but not enough. Not enough to. I can't speak to natural gas like I can speak to crude. Is basically what I'm saying. So I don't know enough. But you see them throughout time, and they always seem to happen around the same periods of time. The back half of the year, pretty much. And anytime you see go here, 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 it's pretty much the back half. Um, and that's always been the case. So when I was a kid and I was coming up in the game, I would hear about, and we're talking about early 2010s, late 2008. So this had just happened, um, and this was a move from 5.5. This is a $10 move to 14 or whatever, 19 or not 19, 13, 14, and each dollar move is $10,000 in natural gas. So you see natural gas is trading at $2.20. Let's say you buy it at $2.20 and it goes up to $3.20. You just made $10,000. And the thing is, that's not even crazy. That's not a crazy move in this market. A crazy move is anything above $5. And, $10, $15 moves are not even uncommon. They happen. That's the thing. But imagine, making 100K in one trade and not even trying. That's natural gas, folks. That's why we watch these things and try to get a beat on things. I need to really get on my. I'm going to become an expert in this shit. I'm going to need to understand why the hell these markets did what they did back then. Yeah, that's my next. Yeah, that's my next project. All right. So that's natural gas, heating oil. Same deal, right? Is just hugging these over. What's interesting now as I look at heating oil. Let me see something. RB gas, yeah, it has the same look. Natural gas does not have that look. It's like crude oil. Crude oil does kind of have that look, but not as much as heating oil and natural gas. Or I'm sorry, gasoline. So if you look at heating oil, you'll see that it's a pretty bearish posture, right? It looks very weak. Now, that is what I would probably call something of a bear trap. Because if the market is going to keep going, like we talked about, because all these markets move in tandem, right? Energy markets are going to move in tandem because crude oil is essentially the birther of heating oil and gasoline. So if crude oil is going up, so are most cases, so are the distillates of crude oil. So if this market is going to keep going, energy and whatnot, and right now we're looking at gasoline, also way out of bounds versus its VWAP, and it also happens to be on support. based on price action right here. That's what this gray box is indicating. Light gray box. So there's just some factors that are in the market at the moment that are kind of giving us a reason to pause, to take pause in the downward action of energy market. Now, of course, that's just us speculating. The market could do whatever it wants to do. But so far today, you look at energy, RB up almost 2%, heating oil up almost 1.5%, crude oil up almost 1% at 0.75%. Natural gas is trading in the opposite direction, and it typically does, and it's down 3%. So that's just something to be aware of. I can't remember. There's a fundamental reason as to why they trade opposite directions. I can't remember what it is now. It's something to do with the seasonal use of the products. I think, which actually doesn't make sense because I can't remember, but it's something like that. Something fundamental. All right. So we did metals. We did energy. Currencies. Yeah, let's go back to the dollar. Dollar is down a tad bit right now. Of course, the idea is that the market find its footing. These moving averages start flattening out, the slope. If this market is not going to continue to consolidate for a move lower, then these short-term moving averages are going to flatten out, and they're going to give us a reason to reverse, right? Because we're right on this long-term moving average right here, 144 day. And the market sometimes likes to respect this one. It likes to respect this one, and sometimes it likes to scare people out of the market, right? Like it did back here. But again, it touched on that VWAP and then it reversed, right? Touched on this VWAP over here and reversed, and we're kind of seeing the same thing here. It's kind of like try to stutter along. Um, so we'll see what happens with the dollar, and of course, along with that, you have all the other currencies that are tied to that in the futures market. Um, and they're just going to trade contra the dollar, basically. Question is, what we really want to know as speculators is, are we going to get our ranges back? Are we going to get tradable ranges? Are we going to be done with these minimal 30 pip, 40 pip range days that are death? Because currency markets, man, they're great to trade when they're moving, because all you really got to do is figure out which way the market's going to go, i.e., is the dollar going to go up or down, and then pick the best trading pair, and then set your price targets and go, because you're going to get paid. But you can't do that anymore with these markets. They don't move like that. They don't really give you opportunity. So that's the downside of government involvement in markets. And this is why it's important that people become educated so that they can understand these basic things, because we wouldn't have to worry about these things. We could just have a gold back currency and we wouldn't even have to speculate. You could just make simple money by doing a good service for value and being done with it. But no, we gotta come over here and pull money out of thin air. All right. So pound looking a little weak. Momentum looking like it's rolling over. Volatility looking like it's reached an exhaustive point as well. Let's throw this zero line on here. Um, Bam. All right. Yep. If you look at the oscillator peak here, you had zero tap back in May, but miss each time thereafter, thus signifying exhaustion in the uptrend. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this or believe in this or whatever the case is, but things definitely happen in threes. Deaths, births, whatever, they happen in threes. And that's why you want to look for 1, 2, 3. So that's a major sign right there for this market to probably be done topping out. And eventually you're going to see a sell signal print here because this is definitely a seller's market right here, which is interesting because I didn't feel like that about the Australian dollar, but now that I'm looking at it again, it's because it had already made that move. Because looking at it again, the volume is way down, but the momentum was what was throwing me off. It doesn't look like if it's offset, because it was still kind of a strong momentum, kind of a strong move, momentum wise, into this band. But the band capped the move, so it wasn't going to keep going. Let's take a look at the Canadian dollar. Same deal. It had that funny look that the Australian dollar has. But it rolled right back. Man, it didn't even get to make all its way to the top side of the band. Let's look at the euro. It's going to be the opposite of the dollar, basically, and that's what it looks like. And again, it's right up at the band, so it's just going to flutter around up here until it just finds a reason to roll over. But that's where we're at. So probably anything above, let's see, 111.50, 112 is a great spot because this is a high of, 112, not even in a quarter. So yeah. See what the yen is doing. The yen's probably doing the opposite. Yeah, the yen looks like it's gonna freaking just roll up. Looks like it's just gonna defy all odds and keep trading higher, and it's probably gonna drag bonds with it. Let's see. Yep. So back in the day when I was coming into the game, bonds and the yen were very highly correlated. And this is kind of what you're seeing back in vogue nowadays because of the funding trade becoming unwound, because it's kind of tied to that. Because it's like I've explained this thing before, you're taking all these instruments, tying them together, and making them all one trade, really. Because institutions borrow currencies like the dollar and the yen and the euro. All these, well, used to be the dollar and the euro. Not so much anymore because it costs money to borrow them now. So when you have collateral that receives interest rate and you use it, or you put it up for sale or something like that, during that time where that interest is being accrued and you're not really the owner or whatever, you got to pay that difference to the actual new owner. So in the same vein, if you short a bond, you got to pay that yield out to whoever, to the market. And the market will take that and transfer it accordingly. But that's a real thing. You got to be wary of what you do in these markets. But anyways, the yen carry trade, it has the yen looking like the bond. So that's something to be aware of. New Zealand dollar. Yeah, looks just like the rest. Looks like the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Yeah, because they're all commodity currencies, actually. Swiss franc looking almost like the yen. It looks like it's going to keep going up. So we'll just see. We'll keep an eye on those. See what they look like over time. Let's see here. Yeah, this is interesting. It's looking a little robust. However, we gotta keep an eye on momentum down here. As you see, you have these divergences setting in, and you have a weak volatility reading at newer market highs. Uh, what the? Get out of here. Bam. All right. So yeah, so volatility couldn't even get near the zero line, which is always a bad sign when the market is trying to track down new highs on weak momentum. So right now the dollar's looking like it's a very good candidate for rolling over or picking itself up, not rolling over, excuse me. but picking itself up. So we'll just keep an eye on these on there because that's really the most important aspect of the market right now. And rates might drive it, and sometimes it's the rates are driving it. So, but we'll see. All right, these mid caps look like they're ready to roll over. It look like they're ready to do something like this, pull back to the white line, which would be tantamount to a bear move nowadays because people are just used to the market always going up. So, guys, look at mid caps. We're already on VWAP again, and it's kind of it looks like it's not gonna let this market be support, but or this area of the market be support, but we'll see. We'll see because it's still early. Um, the trend is still. Oh, the market rolled over already. That's crazy. All right, well let's get to it. This is the E-mini S&P, and of course you got the short-term moving average up here, and you got the VWAP all the way down there. So if the market is trying to establish a solid support area to continue its next leg higher, this would be a good area to do it because the moving average is higher, the VWAP value is a little higher, and the market is structurally bullish still. Now, how could I say that? Well, when you look at things from a big picture perspective, for example, 21 days per candle, you'll see that everything is trending up. And that's pretty much what I mean. However, at some point, this negative divergence will be locked in. I mean, for all we know, it's locked in already because you already had a reading here, 416.6, and a reading over here with a new high close of 375. So that's a major divergence right there. Hold on. Yep, 375. So that's a major divergence right there already. That's locked in. And then not just there, but also in the volume aspect. And when we throw volatility on there, and we're looking at 21 days per candle. All right. So this has already pretty much happened. Hold on, guys. All right. So looking back 2022, I'm guessing this is before the market topped out back then. Hold on. Let's see. December. Yep. So this is before the market topped out back then. And this is this is at a 21-day basis. So this is the first top. This is the first attempt at the market stalling out before it did its first pullback, before the next pullback, or before the next higher high, to lock in the negative divergence. See, so the thing to be mindful of is that this is just the second attempt, right? And we were just talking about how these things happen in threes. So what's the potential scenario that could play out from here? Well, we could definitely have the market pull back. Hold on. We could definitely have the market pull back once again to this area, support area, which would just bring us to the red moving average, about 4,600. Now let's zoom into this area here. So let's say the market pulls back to this area. Excuse me. Um, we're already started rolling over. That wouldn't be anything far fetched. That's kind of right there, 4,800 or so. Um, right. And that would be a nice little buy the dip for people to think that everything is all good. Then this would just be the next zone where you'll be able to sell the market into, to then see the market break through this and then treat that area, bam, as some type of resistance because it was just support, and then lower we go. So it could be something like that easily. Or um, the market could do something like this where we do get that move back here, but instead of rolling over, we just keep going into that hyper leg of the market where we make a further low in momentum, but locking in another high. And that would be like 2000. I'll show you guys right now. Um, oh, the Nasdaq did that shit in 2000, not the S&P. Um, let's see. Actually, all right, you can see it here. So the idea for a lot of people back then was that the market was kind of done going up in 99, 2000. But you can't really see anything on my oscillator. Let me zoom in. Let me go to 8 days. All right. Yeah, this is good. Better than nothing. All right. So it still doesn't really show anything over here, but the idea that I want you guys to understand is that the market was done. This was before the peak in 2000, right here, and this is what people expected the market to be done. Da 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 da. It was overbought. The market had been running straight up into from 95 all the way into 98. So people thought the market was done, rolled over because of the Asian crisis, whatever. But what happened? Well, what happened is the market went from 932 all the way to 15,000, and this is just the S&P. This isn't even the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq was even crazier. Let's see if we can pull it up because the Nasdaq is really the best representation of what I want to highlight. Here we go. So it doesn't go all the way back to 98, but it shows a little bit of the weakness from 99. But the idea is that last leg, this is the alternative, is that last run up where the market gets so ridiculously overbought that it doesn't make any sense. And then the reality is it's just waiting to fall and fall hard because it fell for 2 years straight, 3 years straight after that. Right. And the 2000s, I don't know if a lot of you guys even know, but 2000 through 2010 it was considered a lost decade because the stock market didn't just go up like it did from 2009 to now. So that's a little interesting market fact. But yeah, this is all just. Look at the Nasdaq. We're right on VWAP already. Even the S&P, we're above it though. So the market is a little tighter for the S&P, whereas the Nasdaq it's a little looser because we're already on it. So the market could easily keep going to the white line, which is the 233-day moving average. Right, and of course it's going to be the same story. We're already in a bearish trend, right, for all equity indices because we already ran up on resistance and rolled over. So the question is the market going to really sustain this trend? Probably. The odds for tomorrow is us getting a little. The odds for the beginning of the week is a couple of days where we probably just go sideways, maybe a little up, but mostly sideways to just continue rolling over. Probably Wednesday to Thursday, maybe even into the end of the week, just because the market went down 700 points. It went down 700 points in one session. 772, I think, is what I counted. Let's do it again. I mean, it was some crazy number. Well, oh, hold on. I'm about to say that ain't right. 632 points in one session. 632. That's insane. All right. So it wouldn't be shocking to see the market. And if you look at momentum here, it's already, yeah, we already have a higher high in volatility with a lower low. That typically signifies an exhaustion in the move, even if it's the other way. It would just look a little different. That's what this is right here. When you're looking at the market going upward into the settlement value here, and then the volatility reading just tapering off and not being able to actually sustain itself to tag zero. That's how you knew market was toast. But here it's a little different because if we look in a little bit, let's zoom a little bit in here. Um, we're hitting that settlement value and just now rolling over, or at least it looks like the market is trying to roll over. Right, we hit that settlement value like we talked about earlier in the stream. Now the question is, what is the market going to do? Are the buyers going to outgun the sellers down here? The market is structured in such a way that it looks like the probability is high, but the sellers have been strong lately, so we'll see what happens. Because if you look at this reading here, we have a higher market value with a lower volatility reading, and that typically signifies near exhaustion of a trend, but the momentum is just saying, nah, not really. But we'll see because we have moving average on a pretty decent sized range, 55 ticks in terms of a range, and the NASDAQ is equivalent to 13 and three quarters points. And that's an equivalent dollar value of $275 per candle every time one is printed. So right here is 550 bucks or so. Hold on, guys. All right, that should do it. So yeah, so at this point in time, it's most prudent to just watch if you're trying to go short, because looking short really doesn't seem like a good trade as of yet. I would let the market just resolve itself a little bit more on that side. But yeah, see, like it's flattening out now, but you kind of want to let it try to come back up here if it can first. Otherwise, be ready to catch it running lower over here. But let's see here. Yeah, you already got a sell signal here, but you want to let the market just show you. Because anytime you jump in a little too soon, that means it's just gonna keep running up. That's all that's gonna do. So this is kind of a good sign. because it's looking weak. If you're trying to go short, that is. But that's just the market doing what the market's gonna do. But overall, as you guys can see, the trend is down. Moving averages are down. Momentum is just structured in such a way in the big picture that it's just looking like it's time for it to reverse. But overall, the trend is down. We hugged the upper band of the VWAP standard deviation. So we probably are going to trade all the way back down here. And it might be from now through the end of the year. But that's just a couple of thousand more points below. And we just flew 3,000 points from the top to where we are today. Because the top was almost 21,000 and we already went to 17,500. So 4,500 points is nothing. So going all the way down here is not that big of a deal. And the fact that we couldn't clear this resistance area signifies that we're in a downtrend. So what are the odds that this resolves itself significantly lower? It'll ultimately depend on the low that was established in May, because the odds of this low getting breached are very good. So we'll see, because this is an interesting one. Because technically, this support area was never established. So technically, the market could trade right back to this level. 16.6, is that it? Let me see. Yep. How funny is that? Interesting number. All right. So that's what's going on with that. We already talked about bonds. Let's take a look at the commodities, and that'll wrap it up for this weekly session. And Coco hanging on for dear life still. Still above that 65.90 level. Still holding on. Feeder cattle. Same deal. It's interesting. These commodities both look the same as far as they hit the Bollinger or the upper side of the standard deviation of VWAP Bollinger Band. So probability. Oh well, this one's already almost on the other end. Just was hard for me to see because of how the chart is formed. As you guys see, it hit it and it came right back to the other side. So let's look at that lean hogs. Again, let's switch the contract so we can actually see what the hell we're looking at. And this market looks like it's just entering its resistance area right here, and it's going to roll over for now. So break of these structural points here at 78 and a quarter, 75 and 70 would be significant for the downside to continue to at least this lower edge of the VWAP standard deviation. Jesus, man, what the hell is going on out here? Freaking pigs. All right, we're looking at coffee. And coffee is looking a little suspect, not going to lie. It's looking similar to gold, if you ask me. Because it's just kind of floating up there. Momentum is just weak. There's not really any real reason, I guess, to buy it. But it's up there. But momentum is not favoring it. And volatility is not helping it look good either. Let's see here. Drop a joint at 0, a line at 0. Horizontal line at 0. And again, you guys just look at the trend on volatility. It's downward. Like all the way downward. So this is not a good look at all for coffee. So we'll see. Keep an eye on that. Same deal with momentum. Weak. while prices are trading higher overall. Live cattle looking weak. What was last? What's the 28th? So the last time we talked about this, yeah, the market was here, and yeah, thought it would roll over, and it did. hmm It did. We should do that. We should guess what the market's gonna do for the week. Write it down somewhere and track it. Yeah, that should be interesting. We should do that. I'm gonna start doing that next week. Should be fun. OJ, that thing just keeps going, man. I don't know. And this is the thing about these markets. You see how momentum at one point it was weak, but it was only two times. One, two times. The third time never happened. That third time kept going. And that's the kind of stuff you gotta keep an eye out for. Because here you got the one, two, but the third time kept going. Right. And volatility, same deal. You got the zero line, you got the exhaustion, you got all the signs that tell you, um, yeah, it's time to go. But then when you look at the trend of volatility, it's positive at a certain points, right? So when you see that, you gotta be cognizant, you gotta be aware, because that means that volatility is not behaving how you expected it to for a down move, because that's really the key, right? It's about what you think the market's gonna do. It's probably not doing it, then you probably should stop and get out of that trade immediately. Looking at sugar again, this thing is just floating up there now, because this is the one that we were looking at that we suspected would go higher because it was in a wedge. Let's get rid of all these lines, so in case you guys forgot. And I'm guessing it's looking like it's gonna make its retracement move. And typically, what that means is that price is gonna come back down to maybe this area here. Um, Either this area or this area. Oh, to one of these areas here, essentially to find support and then take off. That's the thesis on how these wedge trades play out. Um, Assuming the market does find support there. If it doesn't, then your guess is as good as mine, because odds are it's going to continue lower. But important thing to note, we are below VWAP. However, we have tapped the 2.375 standard deviation. We've gone outside the normal realms of standard deviation as far as price movement goes based on VWAP readings for the year. And the market should be finding its footing here, because you have negative price direction here, but you have positive price bottoms. You have a higher low, you have a higher low relative to this previous low. In the same scenario here, a higher low relative to this previous low. And then volatility also has a proper structure. And then if we throw a zero line on here just to get a look at where the volatility actually is in terms of exhaustion and whatnot. Let's see here. So volatility was hit at zero. It peaked in January and has failed to get close to zero twice in the year, hitting only zero point 0.7 and zero point 0.5 respectively at peaks in the market. Yeah, and those are the points in time to sell it too each time, just to sell it lower. But what you're seeing now is that the market, when it made that move higher on its rollover, it was the lowest peak that you had seen so far. The last one was zero point 0.5. This one was 10, almost 6x lower at 5.8. So volatility is essentially done as far as the thrust that we're going to see in this down move. That's what that means. Will that be permanently the case? We don't know. We shall see, but that's what the expectation is for now, because that's what the market is showing us for now. So that changes. We can't really do much else. And that's the way to view things. Now we're looking at corn, and corn seems to be kind of doing the same thing. Volatility is picking up significantly. I mean, this looks like a good long for sure right now. So again, you just want to catch the market while it's in its footing, and this looks like a good area right here because it shouldn't really go lower than 400 really. And it's already a 406. So depending what your risk tolerance is, probably a good trade up here or down here. 398, 396 to 398 would be my preferred entry because I'm greedy and I like tight risk. But I think personally, 395, 396, 396 to 398 just to make sure you got a fill versus 390. Really 389. Nah, yeah, 389. If it goes that low, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Because again, it's another one that hit the standard deviations outside the realms of normal standard deviations for price action versus we VWAP on an annual basis, just like sugar. And I'm pretty sure probably all of these are like that. Yeah, look at this one. Just hugging it. And unless it's like one of those dire situations where price has to continuously hit VWAP on the lower end like that, right? That's literally not forever. See, at some point there's some type of recoil, and that's what I'm talking about. Same thing in soybean meal futures. Sorry, guys. Same thing in soybean meal futures. Oats. Hell, oats already started getting this move on. From 314 to 350, so it already put a move on. And this is in a week. Sheesh. Yeah, last week it was here. And it just kept going. Another 25 points, 20 points. Soybeans looking weak. Man, this is just one of those markets, boy. Mm, 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 mm. And again, this one is just riding this standard deviation, the outside of it, but it's pushing those bounds. And sometimes the market does that. There's understanding when it's really violating. Like this is obviously violating. Those other markets are really not. But it's important again to be aware of the momentum in these markets. Volatility seems to be done as far as going down. Momentum seems to be ready to reverse. And volume has already kind of done the work. So it's just a matter of the market playing itself out. Wheat already flipped. And the moving averages are kind of already showing that. And if you look at a 21 day on this thing, I mean, we're entering that zone where it's typically time to buy. So going all the way back to 2002. So, yeah, that kind of stuff settles itself. You know what I'm saying? Looking at these bonds, man, 21 days. Once again, just want to highlight how depressed this market is in terms of value, and how value is really probably somewhere up here. We're probably like 10% below that right now, which is a lot in futures terms. So, just a lot of opportunity out there to be had, folks, if you're paying attention, and the market is giving it up. It's giving it up. So we look at the NASDAQ. What is it doing right now? We're going to wrap this up. Volatility jumping, right? And we talked about this Friday, how it's kind of set for another little launch or whatever. But we'll see, because we kind of have a higher high, but we have lower low, lower highs, excuse me, lower high versus a lower high versus a high. So we'll see what the market does. We're keeping an eye on it for sure. Right now, levels are playing out true to form, and price is being stuffed by the settlement value, and we got to move back to this peak area like what we talked about earlier that we wanted to see. Here we got to move back into that area. That's kind of what you want to see. And now the market is relatively safer, move lower, and you kind of want to see just progressively destroy certain areas like these two levels right here to continue to move lower if it is in fact going to roll over. So this area should clear out, and it should just roll over after it does that. And that's just how these markets work, guys. These are things that are systematic, and they take time, and sometimes they don't happen in a straight line. Like you see right now, it doesn't look like the market's going to get ready to roll over. It looks like it's being held up by its long-term moving average on the short-term basis. And as such, the market might retrace to at least here if it isn't in fact going to roll over right now, but it looks like it did find a little resistance. But, again, these things are dynamic, and by these things, I mean prices and the market and whatnot. So you just have to have your plan, execute it, and let it rock. Because if you go by every tick, I mean, you're not going to get much done. So, if you go by every tick, at some point you thought it was worth selling. And if you got long here and you thought it was worth selling here, well, then you just missed all of that. Right. So it's just about understanding that. For all we know, the market maybe isn't ready to be sold right now, and this is just a setup for the market to move through this level to the other side to then treat it as support and then keep going. For all we know, that's what it's doing. We don't know. I don't know. So we shall see. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for watching. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.